She didn't look up when I came in. Thumb scrolling, elbow on the counter like I was a draft in the doorway instead of a husband. She nodded at the stove. Dinner's on the burner. Good to see you too, I answered, hanging my keys. The pot gave off steam. Chicken and rice. No plate. No question how the day went. It wasn't new, just finally loud. If I'd known where it was headed, I would have taken pictures of that pot. It looked harmless. Turns out it was a flag. I ate standing, listening to her phone tap and chirp. She had that distant face I'd started to hate. Eyes there, body here. I set my fork down. You want to sit down and eat? I already did, she said. I'm wiped. From what? She blinked like the question was rude. Work. You know. Work. Sure. I rinsed my plate and wiped the counter. She drifted to the couch, screen lighting her mouth. 10 minutes later, I tried again. Saturday, let's go out. We haven't done a movie in a while. She didn't look up. Saturday's stacked. I'm with Nora and the girls. Sunday? I'll book brunch. Not hungry for brunch. She tucked a blanket under her legs. You don't have to schedule me. I'm not a client. Feels like I'd have better luck if you were. That got me a glance. Small, flat. You're being dramatic. Or observant. Her phone buzzed. She smiled at it, not at me. That was the first real sting. You'd be surprised how sharp a smile can be when it misses you by an inch. I slept light. At 2, she slid into bed, cold and smelling like the air outside. No comment. No hey. When the alarm hit, I made coffee and set one by her side. She glanced at it. Thanks. Neutral like a receipt. I kept the line steady for a week. Chores done. Invitations made. She put in minimums and took withdrawals. I chalked it up to a dry season. Then Nora started showing up more. Nora is her younger sister by 2 years. Sharp tongue, stacked planner, big brown eyes that watch everything. She'd drop by for a minute and stay 2 hours. They'd gossip and laugh in the kitchen. They always looked like best friends. But when my wife left the room for laundry or a call, Nora's face would shift a degree. Not a big change. Just enough to say she could see something I couldn't. Once, while I filled the dishwasher, she leaned on the island. You good? She asked. I'm always good. That your brand now? She nudged the soap pump with one finger. She's busy lately. She told me. Work. Sure, Nora said. Not cynical, tired. She had her own life. Apartment downtown, job in logistics, serious face until she laughed. I didn't like the direction her patience had with me. Little looks, little pauses. I ignored them because I'm not an idiot and I wasn't going to invent problems. But the house kept cooling. It wasn't one thing. It was a set of small cuts. She started taking her dinner to the living room. She stopped asking about my projects. She left early for meetings and came back after I was asleep. If I touched her arm, she angled away like I was a coat rack someone put in the wrong spot. Am I missing something? I asked one Thursday. We were in the kitchen again, her with a salad and me with a sandwich that tasted like paper because I was trying to talk. Did we fight? And I blacked out. She speared a tomato. Why do you do this? It's not always about you. It's our house. It's my week from hell. I don't have energy for hand-holding. Newsflash, you don't need to hold it. Just don't slap it away. She snorted. You're so sensitive lately. I kept my voice level. No, I'm exact. There's a difference. The next morning she left early without coffee. I stood at the sink and watched her back out of the driveway. The car taillights blinked like a farewell I didn't earn. I work in site management for a commercial build-out company. My crew is steady. Rob on electrical, Marco on inspections, Lal on everything no one wants. They're blunt. They call nonsense fast. On Friday, Rob walked past me while I was on a call and raised an eyebrow. You're quiet, he said later at lunch, unwrapping his sandwich. You break something I need to budget for? I'm good. You sound like my kid when he dented the truck. I smiled without committing to it. Home's loud, that's all. Move the furniture. Not that kind of loud. He shrugged. My ex-wife used to go into her phone like it was a tunnel. When she looked back up, we were strangers. I rearranged the whole week. If she wasn't in it, neither was I. That stuck. On Monday, I made a plan. Not a grand gesture. Logistics. I took my Saturday yard work and moved it to weeknights. I canceled a couple of things we used to do that had turned into rituals with fake smiles. The Wednesday trivia night with her friends, the Sunday coffee run that had become me driving while she texted, and I listened to her giggle at things that didn't include me. I put the saved money into a separate checking account. Not to hide it, to clarify the lines. I moved an overnight bag into the guest room and placed a single line on the whiteboard calendar in the kitchen. Kyle's hours changed this month. Don't wait up. K. When she noticed, it was because I didn't show up for trivia and her friend Mia apparently texted her where I was. She walked into the garage while I was tightening a loose handle on the mower. Did you forget something? Probably, I said. But if it's that quiz on 80s sitcoms, I think I'll live. You told me you'd be there. No. I agreed when it was fun. I wiped my hands. It stopped being fun when I became your driver and background laugh track. She opened her mouth and closed it again. So now you're punishing me. I'm adjusting. Big difference. That's petty. No. Petty is hiding your charger so your phone dies. I'm just not signing up to feel invisible in public. Her jaw worked. You sound like my mom. Maybe she had a point. She stared a beat and then softened a notch. It was slight, but it was there. I'm sorry about snapping. I'm tired. The quarter's heavy. Can you give me some slack? I've got slack, I told her. I also have respect. One doesn't cancel the other. Fine, she said, rolling her shoulders. I'll try. That was the first softening. It sat like a blanket on the floor you forget to pick up. The next day, she made my favorite pasta and put on music while we ate. She asked me about a small client I'd landed. That's good, she said. See? Your approach worked. My approach. You know, being structured. I let it pass. For 2 days, she met me halfway. Then the old rhythm slid back in. Sunday night, she told me she had a late strategy session. On a Sunday? Some of us grind, she said. I'm not 12. I looked at the clock. Be safe. I'm always safe, she shot back, already pulling on a jacket. Nora dropped by that afternoon with a container of fruit like I was recovering from a surgery. We stood in the kitchen unwrapping oranges. You look like someone put you in a meeting and forgot to send the agenda, she said. Guess I'll improvise. She's out again? Strategy, I said. Stadium lights and a marching band. She's a professional at hiding in plain sight. Meaning? She looked at the floor, then out the window. Meaning I've known her my whole life. That's not meaning. It's an index. Use words, Nora. She put the fruit down and folded her arms. Don't make me the messenger you shoot. If it were me, I'd demand clarity. I'm demanding it, I told her. In my way. What way is that? Rules. Schedule. Distance. She nodded once. That's fair. The next Thursday, we had friends over, couple from the gym, Mitch and Laura. We grilled on the patio. My wife kept her phone face down by her plate like a loaded gun. She laughed at Mitch's joke, and when Laura asked her how things were, she slid into this sweet, breezy voice. We're good, she said. Just busy, you know? He's always on site. Stop blaming me. I cut in, not loud, not kind. You haven't needed my schedule to be absent. The table went quiet for a blink. Mitch looked at me. Laura looked at my wife. My wife gave me the stare I know well, the one that says there will be a price later. It's fine, she told the table. He's in a mood. I smiled without warmth. I'm in a boundary. There it was, a public line. The first one. You can't move those once they set. She pushed back her chair. You need to relax. I am relaxed, I said, stacking plates. That's what boundaries feel like. She went inside with her phone. Mitch let out a low breath. You want us to head out? He asked. Finish your burger, I said. It's not a crime scene. Laura studied me. You're being precise. Better than being vague. When they left, my wife stood in the entry with her arms crossed. You embarrassed me. No, I answered. I corrected the record. You love doing that, don't you? Fixing. I hate pretending. Pick one. She shook her head and went upstairs. An hour later, she came down, softer. Second partial softening, round 2. Hey, she said. I don't want to fight. I'm sorry if I made you feel small in front of them. You didn't make me feel anything. You made a claim. I challenged it. Her face tightened. Can you drop the lawyer talk? I'm trying. And I see it, I said. I'm not chasing you. You're not the only one in this house, she whispered, and that would have been nice if her bag wasn't already by the door. Going out? I asked. Yeah, Mia's birthday drinks. I told you. You told the air while walking down a hallway. It isn't a court notice. It's our home. She hesitated. I'll be back late. Don't wait up. Not planning to. When she left, Nora texted, I'm stopping by, 10 minutes. She arrived with takeout, and it looked like she'd sat in traffic for an hour and made peace with it. She out? Nora asked. Yep. I'm not going to pretend I'm neutral, she said, setting cartons on the counter. I'm your blood by marriage, but I still remember who cooked Thanksgiving when she had a headache. I leaned on the counter. You didn't have to drive over. I wanted to say one thing. Stop rationalizing. It's not on you. I kept my face still. What do you know that I don't? She pressed her tongue to her teeth, thinking. I think she's dealing with something she isn't naming. And I think you need data, not guesses. You want me to snoop? I want you to stop bleeding in silence. If you won't confront, get clarity another way. Not my style. Then choose a style that isn't wait until you rot. I stared at the microwave clock ticking off seconds. She put a hand on the counter, close but not touching mine. She isn't afraid of losing you, Nora said. That's the problem. She left a few minutes later, and I stood in the kitchen staring at my own reflection in the patio glass. The guy looking back was tired of his own patience. 2 nights later, my wife announced a 2-day work trip. No details, just a rolling suitcase in the hallway and a tone that said I should be impressed she told me at all. You're leaving tomorrow morning? I asked. Where? Cleveland, she said. Don't make a big deal. It's a map, not a big deal. Seriously, Kyle? I don't need permission. You never asked. She zipped the bag harder than needed and went to the bedroom. I texted Rob for a ref. You ever use a private investigator? He sent me a name and a number like he'd been waiting for me to ask. I met the guy the next day in a bland office near the highway. Gray carpet, coffee that tasted like wood. He had the face of a man who'd seen too many husbands call too late. You want me to confirm a schedule? He said. Nothing more. Dates, times, places, I told him. I don't need opinions. Fair, he said. You sure you want to open this? I want to close it. He nodded and took the retainer. I drove back to work and put my hands into things that bent under pressure. Bolts, boards, plans. They were honest. If you did it right, they held. While the investigator dug, Nora and I found an ugly diner between her apartment and my site. Vinyl booths, fluorescent lights, waitresses who called you Han, whether you were 4 or 80. It wasn't a secret spot. It was quiet and no one cared. She slid into the booth with no makeup and no jewelry. This place is a time capsule, she said, picking up the laminated menu. That's the point, I answered. I'm not here to make you feel better about things you already know. I know less than I should. You know enough. We didn't talk about my wife for 10 minutes. We talked about shipments delayed at Nora's job, a neighbor who had installed a raised bed and forgot to water it. Tiny talk that somehow didn't feel small. When silence came, she looked at me and said it plain. You're not the problem. I keep hearing that. Never feels true. It will. I don't want to misread this, I said, eyes on the cracked sugar dispenser. I'm married. I know, she said. I'm not looking for a replacement. I didn't bring an application, she said, mouth tilting. Then she sobered. I don't want you thinking I'm trying to win something. But I'm not going to pretend I don't see you. And I'm not going to pretend she does. I nodded once and changed the subject to a game on TV. I kept the wall up in my ribcage. It was the only way to get out of this alive. A week later, Nora knocked on my door at 9 in the evening. I opened to find her with a look I hadn't seen before, hit with something and holding it steady. Can I come in? She asked. Yeah. She sat at the table, pulled her phone out, then put it back without unlocking it. Her hands were firm. I'm not here to cross any lines, she started. I was at the mall today. Quick run. I saw her. With who? A man in a gray jacket. Tall. Hand on her waist. She met my eyes. They were comfortable. I didn't speak. She took a slow breath. I didn't follow. I didn't snap 12 angles and text you like a bomb. I took one picture. I'm bringing it to you because you asked for data. I'm not here to tell you what it means. I'm here to say check it, but check it yourself. She slid her phone across the table. The photo was clean. My wife in profile, the man half-turned, his hand a claim. They were smiling at something I had not said. The world went quiet except for the hum of the fridge. I could be wrong, Nora said low. You're not. Don't let me be the reason, she added. If you act because of facts. I get it. She stood. I'm sorry. I would have done anything to be wrong. You did what was right. I told her, voice even because anything else would break it. When she left, I called the investigator and raised the budget. Whatever you have, finish it, I said. Then send me a clean package. During that week, Nora and I met twice at the diner. Once, I showed up looking like the inside of a phone battery. She studied me and made a small face. Stop punishing yourself for being loyal, she said. I'm not loyal, I said. I'm stubborn. It reads the same from here. You're not making this easier. I'm not trying to. I'm holding the line with you. That sounded like a promise without being one. I appreciated it like water appreciates the glass. The email from the investigator came 7 days after the mall. It had dates. It had entries with timestamps and addresses. There were photos that matched the one Nora took and others that told me a whole story I didn't ask for. He included transcripts of messages she sent that mapped perfectly with the strategy sessions. They were detailed enough to remove the last bit of doubt I'd been saving, my little junk drawer of maybe. I printed the report and set it on the table. Then I went to the home office, opened the file drawer, and pulled out the stack I'd started when part of me understood where this was going. Blank forms, a list of steps, names of mediators, the number for my bank. No raised voices. No public theater. I filled out what I needed to fill out. I wrote the notes a man writes when he's done rehearsing a speech no one will hear. Then I called Nora. She came over at dusk. When she saw the stack on the table, she sat without asking and put her hand flat on the wood. So, it's time. It's time. She looked at me for a long breath. Do you need me to leave? No, I said. I need you to just be a person near me who isn't lying. She nodded. That's all. Later, while we were both quiet, she spoke. If you need help, or just not being alone, I'm around. I care about you. I did before I realized it. I'm not pushing. I'm just stating facts. I appreciate you, I said, but I'm not moving fast. I need space. I know, she said, and there wasn't a flicker of disappointment I could find. I'll take whatever circle you draw. My wife came home late. She stepped through the door with her keys and that checked-out stare. I was at the table with the report open and the forms stacked. She stopped when she saw. What's this? Clarity. I'm tired. Please don't start. I'm finished, I answered. These are documents that end this. This is proof I gave myself permission to see. She looked down at the photos. Her face didn't crack. It just lost its color. She swallowed. Okay. I asked. I don't have a speech, she said. I don't have energy. Good, I said. We're finally aligned. She read the first page of the forms, signed where I pointed. She didn't weep. She didn't throw things. It was almost professional. Two people dividing a project that had failed on schedule. 2 days, she said finally, eyes on the table. I'll need 2 days to pack. Take one, I said. I'll be gone tomorrow. You can have the place to yourself. She looked at the report. Okay. I slept in the guest room. In the morning I left early, went to work, and told Rob I needed to be gone by 3. You good? He asked, again with the eyebrows. I'm exact, I said. It's over. He nodded like a man who's seen bridges collapse and be rebuilt. Call if you need hands. I spent the day on site, then drove to the lake near my office and sat in the truck with the window down. The air was cheap and clean. When I went home that evening, her closet was empty, and the guest bathroom had a damp ring where she'd set a bottle for the last time. 2 days later, she moved into a different life. I didn't ask which address. I changed the locks, not as revenge, but as administration. I adjusted my calendar. The house got quiet in a new way. Clean quiet, not meant quiet. Nora started stopping by more. Little things at first. A pan of baked ziti, a new set of towels because the old ones were threadbare, a plan I never paid attention to until I realized it was alive because she was. We kept it careful. For weeks, we just shared space. We watched a game. We cooked at the same time. We said goodnight at the bottom of the stairs and walked opposite directions. Then one night, after I'd replaced a light fixture and she'd helped me hold the bracket, we ended up standing in the hallway with the new light humming above us. I don't want to be a rebound, she said. You won't be, I answered. If we go anywhere, it's because I'm choosing it, not fleeing to it. What's your timeline? Organic, I said. She smiled slightly. That your second language? It's my only one. We didn't draw a contract. We let the days do it for us. For weeks in, she started leaving a sweater on the chair in the living room. It was a quiet signal. I responded by clearing a drawer without comment. At work, things opened up. I put in for a foreman slot that had been sitting. I started running meetings with a cleaner blade. When you cut dead weight at home, your back gets stronger in every room. I don't have a better explanation. I heard about my ex through a neighbor of ours who's never met a silence he couldn't fill. Crazy about your old lady, he said while we were both taking out trash, his voice pitched to gossip. Saw her at the grocery looking like she learned math too late. Word is the new guy wasn't so new to other people. I nodded. That'll happen. You talked to her? No, I said, and he seemed disappointed like I'd ruined a show. We're done. He wanted details. I didn't provide them. A closed door is a closed story. About a month after the signatures were stamped and filed, I found myself actually humming in the morning while making eggs. Nora was in the shower. The house smelled like coffee and fresh paint. My phone buzzed with a message from Marco about a delivery, and I texted him back with a speed that would have surprised early year me. There was a knock. I opened the door, and there she was. My former wife. She looked smaller, which is a trick the mind plays when someone has lost the power to set your weather. I need to talk, she said. About what? I said, not a question. I messed up, she went on. I know that sounds thin, but it's true. I left something real for something that wasn't. I can't sleep. I can't think. I want to fix it. You can fix your own life? I answered. This one is taken care of. Kyle, please. I know you think I used you. I don't think. I cut in. I read timestamps. She stepped forward. I was under pressure. I was a mess. I didn't decide. You decided 1,000 times, I said. Every time you chose silence instead of clarity. I don't need a book report. She flinched and straightened. We can get counseling. We're not a we. She swallowed. I'm saying I'll do the work. I shook my head. You had a free shot at work when I was still inviting you to brunch. The bathroom door opened. Nora stepped into the hallway in a long t-shirt, hair wet, eyes steady. She clocked the scene in 1 second and didn't blink. Oh, my ex said, the word punching itself out of her. So this is the plan. You and my sister. Nora leaned on the doorframe like she wasn't standing, just resting against a fact. It isn't a plan, she said. It's a consequence. You two are unbelievable, my ex snapped. He's my husband. I held up a hand. Was. Past tense. You walked to a different address. That was a mistake, she insisted. I was upset. I didn't think. Nora's voice was calm. You thought he'd wait forever. My ex turned to me as if Nora hadn't spoken. You really moved on this fast? With her, I moved on from you the minute I saw the truth, I said. The rest took time. And for the record, no clocks were running when you left. You're trying to claim something you quit. This is betrayal, she threw at me, but the word didn't land. It hung there and then fell on her shoes. Save the performance, I told her. There's no audience here. You lost the mic. She looked around our entry like there was a spare chance lying by the umbrella stand. There wasn't. The house didn't tilt toward her anymore. You can't forbid me from trying, she said. I can forbid you from showing up, I answered. Don't come here again. There's nothing for you in this room. I should have never. You did, I said. We're done. I closed the door. The click was small and complete. Nora let out a breath like she'd held it for a week. You okay? She asked. Better than okay, I said. I'm finished underwriting her mistakes. That was clean, she said. I like things clean. We didn't celebrate. We made breakfast. I flipped eggs. She found the pepper. We ate at the table where I'd once lined up papers and a thin stack of photographs and ended a piece of my life with a pen. After that morning, the days were simple again. Nora moved in 2 weeks later without an announcement. She just brought a second suitcase and set it next to the dresser. I made space for her shoes. We kept our calendars on the same whiteboard, and if you stood there, you could see how two steady people graph. It wasn't fireworks. It was a level. Work noticed. My boss pulled me into his office and slid a folder across the desk. You've been running tight lately, he said. We're expanding. I want you on the new development. It's bigger. More politics. You fit that. I'm not a politician, I said. You're clear, he corrected. There's a difference. I took the file and the raise that came with it. Rob slapped my shoulder in the yard like a man congratulating another for surviving a storm with a good roof. About time, he said. Nora and I bought a used SUV that didn't care about potholes. On weekends, we took it to the lake and sat on the tailgate with sandwiches. She read. I made lists and then crossed things off them because crossing things off is a high you can't get from talk. We don't post photos. We don't do speeches about love. We do the dishes and pay the mortgage and show up where we say we will. It isn't dramatic. It's solid. I hear about my former wife sometimes. It's never direct. A mutual friend met her at a shop and mentioned she was sorting things out. Translation: the man she rearranged our life for had other rooms with other furniture. She got the echo. Her job went sideways because she spent too much juice on a life that didn't return it. That's not my win. That's her math. I don't feel triumphant. I feel right-sized. The part of me that used to try to fix the air has retired. Now I fix what can be held with a screw and a drill, or a sentence, I mean. People want a story with fireworks, a confrontation in a restaurant, a speech that makes everyone clap. That's not how it went. It went like this. I saw what was true. I chose myself. I closed the door. And when she knocked again, I didn't open it for the past. Last week, Laura from the gym asked how I'm doing. She had pity in her eyes like she'd brought it with her just in case. Great, I said. Better than I thought possible, honestly. You look lighter, she said. I am, I told her. Turns out carrying yourself isn't heavy if you drop what's not yours. She laughed. That's a line. It's a practical one. On the way home, Nora drove. The sun hit the windshield. She glanced over and didn't ask if I was okay. She doesn't check on me like I'm an appliance. She just sits in the same room and lets the silence be a tool. That's how I know we'll work. Not because we said big words. Because we stack small, true ones. People keep waiting for me to say something harsh about the woman I used to live with. I'm not going to. That chapter closed with her signature next to mine. If she ever thinks the door is still unlocked, she'll learn again that it's not. That's not cruelty. That's clarity. I keep the report in a folder in the safe. Not because I want to reread it. Because it's a record of where I stopped lying to myself. You don't throw that away. You don't frame it either. You just keep it like a receipt from the most expensive thing you ever returned. And if anyone ever asks me what I learned, I'll say this. When someone treats you like your furniture, move yourself. Don't wait for them to remember. Don't beg for their eyes. Don't hold open a door they walked away from like they're royalty. Write your own rules. Mean them. And when it's time, end it without smoke. Then build the life that fits the size of your backbone. That's what I did. That's what I'm doing. The house is warm now. The truck starts on the first try. The coffee tastes like coffee again. And when there's a knock I don't want, I answer it once, with the right sentence, and close it.